So Margaret, to start with, I just wanted to understand the views of CFA Institute for the Indian markets, because given we are one of the fastest growing in terms of charter holders, in terms of people, the candidates who are writing the exam, how is CFA Institute from US is looking in India as a market for that?
So first of all, we're a global organization, and you're right that India is one of our fastest growing markets for candidates, and it's a fast growing market just globally, period. So it's really important for us. There are unique aspects to the Indian market, and so we have a distinct plan for India that includes, I would say, three aspects to it. First of all is accessibility, and we're dramatically increasing the number of test centers that we have. Mm-hmm. So specifically in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, that increases the accessibility for candidates to be able to take the exam. The second is affordability, and we know that the program can sometimes be out of the reach of some candidates. So we've just, in the last 2 weeks, instituted a monthly installment program that makes it more affordable. And then finally, employability. And that is making sure that candidates are job ready. So in that particular case, we also work very closely with our CFA Society India here on the ground to make sure that the aspects that are particular for the Indian market and for Indian candidates we can address.
Now, of course, the kind of the numbers we are looking at, the people who are writing the exam, so supply is increasing tremendously over here. But how do you look at the demand? Because obviously supply should be matching demand. The number of people who are being, kind of hired by the companies which are, kind of preferring CFA charter holders and candidates might not increase in that pace in which the supply of the candidates and the charter holders is being increasing. What are we doing in terms of that?
So I think when people traditionally think of the CFA charter, they think of those two classic roles, the research analyst and the portfolio manager. When you think about the skills, the knowledge, and the teachings, the learnings that come from the CFA program, they're really much more broadly based, and they're more foundational, and they actually have more utility and applicability to a wider range of jobs. So when we were just chatting before we went live, you were telling me that you had written your level 1 from while you were in the cement industry. And I think about a number of our candidates and actually CFA charter holders work for corporations. They may be in the corporate strategy department thinking about how do we allocate our capital, either human or financial. We know here in India there is a rapidly growing private wealth market, right? And that will need really well-qualified investment professionals to make sure that individuals who save money and then invest it have the best opportunity in the most integrity system to be able to reach their financial goals. So that's a new market for India where we see great demand. And even within the knowledge process outsourcing, we see India as a region for global demand for that. So again, I think that what was traditionally for a CFA charter holder, now there are just a much wider set of opportunities. We also know that the job market is going to change dramatically over the next 5 years. And so there's the charter, which will evolve with the needs, but there's also continuous learning and professional learning to help those investment professionals really throughout their career.
A lot of people I interact with in India, the CFA candidates, they look at the CFA charter as a global passport to, kind of go and work in US or UK or Australia, all these developed countries, right? I generally think that there is a huge scope in Indian markets, like you just said. So people actually get dejected that they're not getting jobs in Singapore or US or UK markets. I want your views on two things. First of all, should they actually, kind of look at those markets in order to, kind of expedite their careers? Or secondly, if not, then in India, how do we convince these people that you have such amazing opportunities back in India rather than looking to go west?
Yeah. So I think the CFA charter program is one that is really of excellence. So I took mine when I was in Canada, and what I realized was that individuals who were my colleagues who were around me, the very best of them actually had their CFA charter, and that was for a domestic market. And so I think those who commit to the CFA program and achieve that success actually are a cut above, and they see themselves in a very different professional light. They're committed, they have the character and stamina to get through it. And they also demonstrate that obviously the educational side, the professional ethics, the professional excellence, as well as the ethical orientation. And when you think about the best systems and the best professionals, they are ethically oriented. They do put their clients' interests ahead of themselves. And so you actually can see that having more charter holders in the system is better for Indian investors and those who are allocating capital.
I was writing my CFA and somewhere starting 2010s, I used to read from the books, Institute books itself. I used to find very less examples which are India-centric or India-oriented. I don't know what it is today because I've not read the refresher readings, as you may say. But when the text is being written, the theory is being written, mostly the authors are from US, right? As far as I understand. So how do you see that Indian authors contributing to the CFA curriculum are also putting in some India-centric cases and case studies in the examples and all?
So the curriculum is really designed to be global and globally as neutral as possible. So how do we determine what should be in the content and the curriculum? We identify experts around the world. We bring them together in panels to help advise us what should the just qualified candidate know, what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they need, such that they meet the needs of employers, and obviously that drives candidates. Where we find country-specific examples and curriculum become really relevant is when we're doing that ongoing professional learning or augmenting the program, which is a global program, by using specific research that we do or specific programs that we do, also the programs that the local societies do. So earlier this morning we met with the CFA Society of India, and they have very extensive programming. In fact, they're one of our most prolific societies. They do over 100 events with leading experts here in India that bring to life those concepts which are universal and make them very applicable for the local market.
One question which I get from a lot of people is, and it's not from the candidates or not from the students, is that whether I should go for a CFA or for an MBA. Right, India is a country where still, MBA is looked like we have to be an MBA in order to get great jobs. A counterpart is obviously a CA Chartered Accountancy course, which people have been giving in India for like decades and decades, and everybody knows about what CA is. CFA has been around and obviously gaining prominence in the last 2 decades. But how do you see CFA coming in not as an, add-on to an MBA or a CA, but like an alternative? Just giving CFA, you can get a career into financial services industry, which still in India, it's not that much, but we need to get there. So how do you think we should be getting over there?
So first of all, I think it's incumbent on CFA Institute working with CFA Society India to make sure that people really understand what it is that charter holders do, what the benefits of the program are, and what the curriculum is. What are those teachings that come out of it? Right. I think when I'm often asked the same question, no matter where I go in the world, should I be pursuing an MBA or a CFA charter? And I think if you are doing broad-based business, an MBA actually makes a lot of sense. For those who really want to pursue a career in finance or in the investment industry, of course, the CFA program is specifically designed for that. So that's the first thing. Right. The second thing is relevant to the earlier part of our conversation. The CFA designation is the same the world around and is one of the only globally recognized designations that is not jurisdictionally or country specific. So there's something quite special about that. And then I think, interestingly, we have started, 2 weeks ago, we launched such that students who have 2 years remaining in their university program can take the CFA program, begin their CFA program, and prior it was just for that last year of university. And we know that's because students are looking to have the qualifications and those foundational skills and knowledge such that they can compete for those jobs.
Right.
Historically, it's been that you have the job and then you pursue your CFA charter. So we see students using it much more as a way to get into the finance industry broadly, or to improve their chances to start a career there and advance.
One thing we have noticed in the last probably a decade is the changing landscape in kind of financial services industry as well. We are seeing the acceptance of technology, and obviously it has grown exponentially since the COVID lockdown as well. How is our curriculum, for the CFA Charterholder or CFA candidates shaping up with the introduction of, kind of complex algorithms related to maybe data mining or maybe programming languages like Python and all those things? So how have we, kind of changing the curriculum, and how often?
So the curriculum has always actually evolved. We have regular meetings of experts and employers and those who are really hiring our candidates and charter holders. And so we really want to know what is required for the skills for today. So that's always been evolving. Some things, so if you think about the CFA program, it's a foundational program, and obviously there's some enduring concepts and principles, and then we try and bring them to life in a modern context. So we may use new asset classes or new ways to express them and to test them. But ultimately, for some of those really leading edge activities that are going on, think about crypto, for instance, and they may not be testable, and we don't really know how they're obviously going to go as a foundational program. We use our professional learning opportunities for that. So whether it's data science, whether it's Python, our research certainly is focusing increasingly on AI, ML, and NLP, and all those things that are emerging and changing the very nature of our industry. What we do know is that 1 in 2 jobs is likely to be materially changed over the next 5 to 10 years, and that 1 in 3 is likely to disappear. And so a lot of what we're doing is trying to see around corners, and what is it that the investment professional needs to be thinking about now to make sure that their skills and competencies are relevant and up to speed for all of this pretty dynamic changing landscape. We were just having a conversation beforehand. You told me that you wrote your first level while you were working in the cement industry.
Yes.
So so that's unusual. So what inspired you to pursue your CFA charter, and then talk a little bit about how that has mattered for your career trajectory?
So thanks for the question, Mark. So just going back probably 12 years, so I had already written CFA level 1 because, when I was graduating, and my graduation was into engineering. So I'm a computer science engineer. But I really started liking finance post the global financial crisis in 2008 because I started reading Economic Times, and, kind of we spoke yesterday about it as well. Investment banking is a glamorous industry, So every student wants to enter into that. So I was trying to get into finance, and how do I get it? I heard in 2009 someone saying about CFA program. But by the time I was already hired into a cement industry by my campus, right? Campus placement and all. I had written the exam, but results were not out yet. But I was really hoping, I don't want to spend my life over here, my career over here. I was just fingers crossed that I clear the level 1. Luckily, before even the results came in, I moved to a knowledge processing unit office, or KPU, back office. And then I started, kind of that time, it was not about the job anymore, that I need to pass level 2 or level 3 for getting a job. After reading level 1, I was always amazed as to what can level 2 offer me. What in finance after that? And then after level 2, what in finance after level 2 as well? I mean, what will level 3 offer me? So this inquisitiveness, this curiosity actually, kind of made me write more and more CFAs levels. And then I landed up, so I went for my MBA in 2012 and 14. And I was one of the preferred candidates in the campus because I was also a CFA level 3 cleared. So I ended up with Deutsche Bank Investment Banking in 2014. And from there, my career trajectory has been super. So I would really, kind of CFA Institute and CFA, the program which I studied.
well, I've spent time, and you are now in the private wealth space. So tell me how the CFA program for you has made a difference in terms of being able to go from one part of the business to the other part of the business.
Very helpful. So there would be a couple of points which, might have helped me back then to crack this private wealth interviews when I moved from Deutsche Investment Banking to Edelweiss Private Wealth. One, obviously the perception the clients have if they are talking to a CFA charter holder, if they see Vaibhav Gencom, CFA in front of the name. So those who know about it have the complete faith that, kind of my money would be, kind of safer with the charter holder, because firstly, the trust which this credentials bring in, the ethics which are, kind of along with this we bring. And the third is that we are aligned with what's happening in the markets because of the refresher readings and a lot of these things which we spoke about. So my employers might have thought, kind of very limited CFA charter holders were there in that company back then, that we should have me as an addition. And I would also like to, kind of tell you that I don't know how it would be for you back in US, but in India, still for the private banking role, you need to have a book before an employer hires you. I was asked, what is the book you have? I said, I am not coming from a relevant industry. I'm coming from an IB. I had zero book, still I was hired because of maybe this perception and maybe because the add-on through CFA charter I was bringing.
You are also of a younger generation than I am, and I'm obviously have the privilege of seeing what the trends are emerging and what from the executive position we need to be thinking about. But from your perspective, what are you seeing as important when you look 3 and 5 years out for your career?
Definitely, it's the technology. The comfort which we need to have as even the finance experts in terms of tech abilities, that's very much paramount to be relevant in this industry. This is what I tell in most of my webinars I do with the students as well. One question is asked very frequently is that I have been a finance student all through my life. How can I start coding? How can I transition into technology? I said, you don't need to code. You just need to know about, from the managerial point of view, how are these things? Because ultimately, see, even engineers, if someone who has coded, if they see that there is a scope in the finance industry, they would study about that, right? So it should not be looked at that I have never done this. My idea would be, we are still seeing the transition. And by the way, I have recently moved to a platform. So platformization is my industry now, where we are serving the retail customers through a platform. So it's all tech based. So I have moved that, I've done that transition last year in 2021. And I suggest everybody who, who is watching this interview to think 5 years down the line, not think 5 months down the line that I need a job right now and probably I need to, crack this interview and go. Think 5 years and upskill yourself, build your skill set. And this is what I have also been doing.